Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dr. Matt from Pinnacle Chiropractic, your local pediatric and family and prenatal chiropractic office here in Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida area. And today is episode number 21 of Pinnacle's Perspective, our weekly Healthcast. And I am going to talk all about dairy-free and gluten-free options and different brands for your kids or your family. So we get a lot of kids in our office, as we always talk about, that have a lot of sensory challenges, have ADHD, sensory processing disorder, autism, anxiety, those type of things. And so what we know is with a lot of those kids, if you've ever watched our webinar, their nervous system is stressed out. It's in this stress mode, the gas pedal mode or the sympathetic mode or fight or flight mode of the nervous system. And so when that happens, all the other systems of the body can be affected. And many times we see the digestive system is affected a lot in kids that we take care of. So especially if kids have had a lot of chronic immune challenges where they have had a lot of rounds of antibiotics that kill off all the good bacteria within the gut. A lot of kids have inflammation in that gut, and that gut brain connection is very, very important because we know that gut is, and that GI system is like a second brain. And so when we have inflammation there, it can also affect the way the brain is functioning as well. So we recommend really to all of our families under care. It's not a requirement, but we definitely recommend that their children and really their whole families go gluten and dairy free. So myself, my family is pretty much entirely gluten and dairy free. Both of my kids eat a gluten and dairy free diet. So we have a lot of firsthand experience of what types of brands to look for with the dairy free and the gluten free options. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, kind of some of my favorite brands and other brands out there and kind of where you can purchase them. Luckily, our society is becoming a lot more aware of these things of gluten and dairy and giving more and more options to gluten and dairy free products out there. So you can pretty much go to Walmart Marketplace, Aldi's, Publix, Costco. All of those places are really great places to shop and find gluten and dairy free options for your family. So kind of break down each category and some of the different brands out there. So for milk, there's a wide range of different dairy-free milks out there. So you can just go to Publix or the Walmart Marketplace and look in the milk section, and you'll find coconut milk, you'll find almond milk, you'll find hemp milk. All different types of milk are out there now. And so what I typically recommend is just try different ones that your family might like or your child might like. Keep on trying different ones. So some of the nut milks are a little nuttier tasting. So my family, although it's still technically dairy, my family drinks actually goat milk. Some kids also drink camel milk. So some of the other milks from other animals are actually more easily digestible than cow's milk or the true dairy form. Or you could even try the broken down milk protein type of milks out there as well. So those are a good start for the milks. As far as like yogurts, Kite Hill is generally our favorite brand. It's a coconut based yogurt that I feel like tastes the best. There's also So Delicious and Silk as well, are two common brands out there that you can find in the yogurt section of most stores. Cheese, this is a big one because there's a lot of cheese. There's a few different cheeses out there. And our family has kind of taken a little bit of time to find one that we like, but I feel like they're constantly updating their kind of formulas and stuff. Daya was one in the beginning that we tried that we didn't like very well, but they've since come out with a new dairy-free formula that's a lot better tasting. So the Daya brand has been elevated and tastes a lot better than it did in the past. But that's not our favorite brand. Our favorite brand is actually the BioLife cheese. So if your child likes to have grilled cheese or macaroni and cheese, they have shredded cheese and they have slices of cheese as well. And the BioLife cheese is what we've found to be the closest thing to real cheese. It melts in a grilled cheese, it melts into mac and cheese as well. And my kids really like that Violife cheese. And then another good one is also Follow Your Heart. That they make some good cheese as well. So they've got all different types of cheese now with Violife and Follow Your Heart, so that you can switch it up on the different types of cheese as well for those brands. So those are our two favorite brands. You can find the Violife and Follow Your Heart at Publix. If you're going to and doing most of your grocery shopping at Publix, it's right by the produce section. They have a kind of a dairy-free section in the cooler there, and that's where you'll find some of the dairy-free cheeses to try for your child or your family. We talk about butter. There's a couple different dairy-free butters. A lot of people don't realize that butter does have dairy in it, but a good brand that we use is Earth Balance. It's like an olive oil base instead of a dairy base, and it, once again, tastes pretty much like real butter. So it's not going to be as rich or fatty as real butter, but it still tastes a good alternative to the real butter. And a lot of the times the kids can't tell the difference in that. So that's another good thing. Then bread, that's another big one that we see with a lot of kids that love carbs. They're eating a lot of bread, and the bread is where we get a lot of our gluten from. And so a good gluten-free option for bread, they've got a few of them. You can find a couple of them in the frozen section at Publix. They have a little section of frozen gluten-free area. And so you can find Cannon Bakehouse there, and you can find Udi's there. Those are two really good gluten-free options. Our favorite actually is called Char brand, and that is kind of like a traditional white bread that tastes very similar to classic white bread that has gluten in it. And so the Char brand you can actually find at Costco. If you have a Costco membership, it's in the bread section. It's like this bright yellow package, and it's called Char, and that's what our family really enjoys. I'll eat a peanut butter or almond butter sandwich, same with my kids, with that bread, and it tastes very, very similar to like a real white bread type of sandwich. It's a little bit firmer and kind of a little more dense texture-wise, but it still tastes pretty good, and it's still pretty similar, and that's really our favorite bread, is that Char brand. Then you've got all kinds of different pastas now, spaghetti squash, rice pasta, zucchini noodles, all of those different things or even chickpeas. I've seen them starting to make pasta out of. So there's a lot of different gluten-free options as well out there for pasta. You can find those in the pasta section of any grocery store. Frozen pizzas, they've got a couple different good brands out there, frozen pizzas that are gluten and dairy free. The Daya brand is another one. They've since, like I said, reformulated their dairy-free cheese, and they have a pretty good dairy-free and gluten-free pizza. And so for our family, that's typically the one that we will purchase. There's a lot of different gluten-free brands, but many of them are not gluten and dairy-free. The Daya is one of the only ones that is gluten and dairy-free as far as frozen pizzas go. We go to kind of waffles then, or breakfast ideas. They've got quite a few dairy-free and gluten-free options out there. My kids typically eat the Vans brand of gluten and dairy-free waffles. They also have like Kashi and Birch Benders. So you can find those in the frozen section as well at any grocery store. Like I said, our family's favorite brand is really that Vans brand. And then as far as like ice creams go, they've got so many different dairy-free options out there. One of our favorite places to go that has since closed down was Lucky's Market. They had a ton of different dairy-free ice creams in their ice cream section. So now Publix and Walmart, they have a handful of different dairy-free options. So brands like So Delicious, Enlightened, Halo Top, Oatly, all of those are going to be a little bit different. Usually a lot of the times they're made out of a coconut base. So if your child likes coconut, which generally a lot of kids do enjoy the taste of coconut because it is a little sweeter, they'll like that. And so also a really cool place that I always like to give a shout out to as often as I can, a local place for finding dairy-free ice cream for your child. And they also have gluten-free cones as well. Their ice cream cones is Delights in Lakewood Ranch. So that's where I like to take my daughter She actually goes to swim lessons right next to Delight's. And so after swim lessons, we'll always go there and get her a cup of dairy-free ice cream, and she loves it, and she doesn't know the difference. And so that's another great place. They do have regular ice cream there as well, soft serve ice cream that does have Dakin dairy in it. So if you're like, I want to splurge a little bit and have a little bit of dairy, they also do have dairy options there as well. So there's other really good restaurants around the area that have a lot of gluten and dairy free options. So Fresh Kitchen is a really good one that my family likes. Papo's is another really good one that has gluten and dairy free options. Then there's the Lemon Tree, which actually has recently closed down. Crop is another one of our favorite ones. So Crop on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they have gluten and dairy free donuts. And so that is kind of my family's tradition. On Thursdays, we always pick up their donut. It's always rotating, and they always have a limited number of donuts they make each day. So make sure you call ahead and reserve some for your family. But they make really, really good donuts that aren't so bad for you. They use a lot healthier, less processed, more natural ingredients in them, and they taste really, really good. So Crop is an excellent place for everything in their shop is gluten and dairy free. They also make little like bars that are delicious. Pretty much everything they make at Crop is delicious, and it's all dairy and gluten free, and your kids will love it. So there's also places like Ione's Cafe, Veg, Leela's, and then Beauties of Sprouts. Actually, they closed down as well recently during the COVID time. So there's a lot of really great options out there for your family for trying to go gluten and dairy free. Like I said, that's really going to decrease the amount of inflammation in their gut GI system, and it's going to decrease that amount of inflammation thus in the brain as well. It's going to help that brain and nervous system function at a much higher level. So just cutting out gluten and dairy, we've seen kids make tremendous gains in behavior, in speech, communication, in gut GI stuff, constipation, reflux, things like that. So we can see many, many symptoms improve by cutting out and limiting that dairy and gluten. And it's one of the reasons why we recommend it to all of our families in our office, is because it really can have tremendous impacts on the way the body can function. And so those are some really good brand options. If you want to comment in the comment section below, if you have a question about a certain kind of food type, if we recommend a certain brand, or if you want to share your favorite brand, go ahead and do so in the comment section below. And then we can kind of continue to compile lists. We're always looking for more and more options out there for our families and more recommendations for our families, because our whole goal is to get them as healthy as possible. We want them to live their best lives, and we live our lives through that brain, through that nervous system. And when it is inflamed, it's not working to its potential. When we can decrease that inflammation, and through our chiropractic care, we can get that nervous system working the way it's supposed to. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this 21st episode of Pinnacle's Perspective, and it gave you some ideas of different things that you can start trying. Whenever we talk about parents trying to go gluten and dairy free, what we typically recommend, don't try to do it all at once. It is good. It's not a bad thing to do it all at once. It's definitely a good thing, but it's oftentimes very overwhelming for families because you have to change your whole diet. You have to figure out new things to shop for. And so what we typically recommend is, if there is a food group that your child, or a food item that your child eats a lot of, start with that first and start switching that out into something that's gluten and dairy free option, and find a brand that your child likes and will eat, and then keep on kind of gradually switching out different common foods that they eat. Like I said, you can pretty much get creative with dairy-free and gluten-free options out there. You can still make grilled cheeses that are gluten and dairy-free, mac and cheese that's gluten and dairy-free, pizza that's gluten and dairy-free. So there's so many different ways, and good ways, that actually taste good as well, when trying to think of different options for those gluten and dairy-free foods. So really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please, like I said, leave a comment in the comment section below, like and follow our page for more of our Pinnacle's perspective and our weekly Healthcast and some of our video testimonials and pictures and our wins and stuff like that. You'll be able to see on our page. So please, if you're not already following our page, like our page, follow it, and just keep up with everything that our office is doing here in the area, because we want to really give you guys as much education and value as we can to, like I said, help your family, help your children live out to the healthiest life that they can. And so once again, guys, I'm Dr. Matt from Pinnacle Chiropractic. And as always,